Hacksters, welcome back. We just did a segment on hacking this Amazon Dash button and turning it into a custom button, not using AWS, but using this light blue bean controller, which is wonderful. It's $30, it's Bluetooth low energy. You program it from your phone in Arduino code, and I've just added a button and haptic motor so that I can induce this interesting state of awareness called hypnagogia, in which you are very creative and good at problem solving. You actually experience this twice a day when you're going to sleep and waking up, but you can also sort of take a sort of nap during the day and induce it as well. So I've created a thing to demonstrate this. Thank you for the comments before. One person noted that you don't want to be doing a lot of waiting around in the interrupt service routine, which is what runs when you call a pin interrupt. So if you watched that one, you saw that I was getting caught up. The code was not really working because I was putting all the response to pushing a button. Most of the time this guy is sleeping until you push the button, and then it wakes up and runs a little routine, and in this case it is turning on the LED and vibrating the haptic motor, and it does that after a span of 5 or 10 minutes. And it wasn't running that, and I was mad. So after reading someone say that maybe you don't want to put all that waiting in the ISR, the interrupt service routine, you should just set a flag instead. I appreciated that, and I decided to try it, and it worked. So one weird thing to note here is that the bean.sleep command is not picked up in the loop, so I had to use delays there. I prefer the sleep, but delays worked. So now you can see the current code. Instead of putting all this stuff into, go away, into the interrupt code down here, the pin changed function. Instead, I have just used that to set the hypno variable to 1, and I have to declare it up here separately. Int hypno equals 0. When the button is pushed, it gets changed to a 1, and then it's set back to 0 again at the end of this function, this if statement, I should say. And then that just like gives you an acknowledgement, which is a quick red LED flash and haptic feedback. And then waits, in this case, just 5 seconds because I want to be able to demonstrate it in my talk tonight. And then does the same thing again. So if you were drifting off into La La Land, you'll be brought back by this thing. In historical times, people like Dali would do things like hold a marble or a spoon in their hand, and then when they were falling asleep, they would drop it, and it would clatter onto a plate, ideally, that was like underneath. However, we don't have to worry about things like the plate not being in the right spot or anything. We can just do this with electronics. You can hold it in your hand the whole time, and you can instantly push the button for another go around if you want some more time to think, while being assured that you're not going to just drift off forever. This of course depends on your own ability to be woken by a small vibration in your hand. I had roommates in college, so I definitely had to, I got accustomed to using my phone's vibrating alarm to wake me up instead of, you know, assaulting my roommates with the beep, 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 you know, etc., or whatever horrible thing was on my phone. So I updated the code, it works, it's great. I'll show you in a sec. I also want to show you I added some Kapton tape to insulate the button from the haptic motor, and the haptic motor here is now adhered to the proto board with its little adhesive pads. At the same time, it is insulated from the little connections underneath, even though those actually don't go anywhere. They're just little cool, useful protoboard connections. So yeah, we're good to go. And let me demonstrate. The red LED shows only faintly through the case, but I don't really care because most of what I'm after is the haptic feedback, so I don't have to look at this thing in order to use it. But I push the button, it comes on for like about half a second, and then after 5 seconds, it does it again. And I can feel the haptic motor vibrating at the same time. So thank you for your help understanding what the issue was with the code. This is awesome. I love just being able to get instant feedback on this stuff from the world's experts. You guys are amazing. Seriously, this is so cool. You know, ordinarily I would have been hung up and maybe like given up on this project for a little while until I circled back to it. I also cut some bits of non-conductive foam to pad out the case, and then this allows the battery to sit in there, and it sort of holds the thing, but with a little bit of tension so that it doesn't just fall out. Go in there. I need to aim it lower. This is all snapping together just beautifully a minute ago, of course. There we go. Cool. So that just sits in there, and at that point the button is a perfect spot to be triggered by the dash button. I have yet to decide how I'm going to actually attach the top back on, but you can see that it works. So cool! And then it'll do again in a second. Yeah. And now it's gone back to sleeping, and there's enough tension in, or stretch and elasticity in the button that it's not, you know, pushing it in general. There's also this lanyard thingy that came with the button, so I'm kind of wondering if I can use that to, like, you know, hold it back together somehow. It'll at least cover up the ugly seam here that I decimated in my efforts to get it apart in the first place. I put the sticker back on so that covers the ugly screw holes and stuff, but I might eventually just make my own, because I think that would look cool, you know, like Hack Brain or something like that on there. Yeah, so all that remains is to, I'll probably just put some Kapton tape on that actually, to hold it together because it looks cool. Where did my tape go? Here we are. And yeah, so that's our hacked button. It helps you achieve weird states of consciousness that help you do problem solving and creativity and stuff. I'm really happy that this bean fits perfectly in here. It seems like a match made in heaven. And I gotta say, I kind of hate messing around with APIs and stuff. I much prefer something I can just program in Arduino. Although, I'm getting into more Python hacking and stuff, and there's lots of APIs available if you want to go that way. It's beautiful. It's a wide world of programming out there. You can connect this to any number of services. You can also write your own native iOS or Android app that communicates with the bean. There's a really cool one called Handy BLE that I think it's called that because the guy is German and handy means cell phone in German. I'm not sure. But it allows you to write your own little visual interfaces for interacting with your bean, which is great for like little robot control and stuff. So yeah, such a cool thing to be able to use for whatever, and I'm really excited this worked out. Thanks for watching, and have an awesome rest of your Wednesday. Cheers!